I mean, I don't know about better than anticipated because we respect everybody, in terms of, their ability to, play well and execute a game plan. But, you get deeper in the season, teams know one another so well. And I know our conference is a little bit different because, we've got some teams like, the next few where we haven't played them. Um, and this will be the first time, matching up against them. But, there's so much tape out there, and folks know one another so well. It can take some time to get going, and certainly that's happened to us. Some of it's we've missed some easy shots, and that can pile up on you a little bit. The key for us is maintaining that defensive intensity, and while understanding that you're going to have some droughts, you got to withstand those droughts through your defense.
This will be your first time facing Rhode Island here,
Mm-hmm.
but regardless of what their record might have been, this is a program that always seems to play VCU tough. Have you sensed that in researching?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, we've got a ton of respect for Rhode Island, and obviously, Archie Miller's an awesome coach and has won a lot of games, in this league and outside of this league. And so, and they got off to a great start, in conference play, and I know they've had a few, in a row here where it hasn't gone their way, and they've had a couple injuries that have impacted, their lineup a little bit. But you watch them on tape, they're impressive. They're physical, they're fast, they've got scores at multiple spots, they can shoot behind the arc, and certainly they can cause problems for anybody that's going to play them.
And if I could just ask if you've had any reaction to the reports of UMass leaving the conference in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm just like you, first hearing of it, and it's such as the landscape of college athletics right now, and so we certainly wish UMass the best if that's where this thing is headed.
3 games in 7 days. What's the load management battle like at this juncture of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's prep, it's time with Roos, it's time with J Wall, it's lots of shooting, it's film, and certainly some time on the court, as well, just getting organized and getting ready, and implementing the game plan. And you could do that on both sides of the ball. There's things that you could do offensively to help yourselves get a little bit better, and certainly defensively as well. Just honing in and locking in on what we're going to try to take away.
Seems like Joe has he's taken over the second half. He had 16 last game in the second half. What sparks that plug for him coming off the bench there, final 20 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, he's done it both ways, right? He's gotten off to really good starts in the first half when he first comes in there, and the second half has been a little bit different. And, more recently, like you said, I mean, he was great in the last game, in that second half, and had a rough first half, and as we all did. And so we certainly needed that punch. We're trying to get him, as many quality looks as we can. And sometimes that's easier said than done when, the defense is honing in. But his teammates look for him and certainly understand the importance of getting in the ball at key times.
Seems like Max has some of that competitive nature that allows him to just take over some points, but facilitating and knowing when to score. What about that do you see from him?
He's just an unselfish player, and sometimes too unselfish. And for us, I mean, there's times where he has some looks, and he'll pass them up to try something a little bit different, or get somebody else a look there. And I think the last game against UMass, he ends up with 5 shots, and they were all pretty hard shots. And so we've got to do better, at creating some easier opportunities for him.
With Joe and Toby playing so well, but have you thought about mixing up the starting lineup, or are you trying to keep with the stability?
Not really. I mean, I like it where it's at. I mean, you saw the beginning of the second half. The guys, that starting group played well. Even when Jason was in there earlier, I thought that lineup actually mixed well. With Joe coming off the bench, Zeb came off the bench and gave us some really big boosts at times. Toby as well. I mean, I think there's no point in switching that up right now, given the feel that they have. They know their roles. They know what they're doing. They know when they're going in the game. And I think it works well.
Rose didn't play for about a month and a half after that late December game.
Mm-hmm.
He immediately came in the last couple games and played some good minutes. What about his improvement have you seen this season?
Yeah, I think he's just stuck with it, right? He's stuck with it, and he's improved in practice. He's been more competitive in practice when we've had opportunities to compete against one another. And so, certainly the way that the UMass game was going in that first half, he had earned the right, to get in there and see if he could, give us a boost. And, certainly he did his best and tried to do that. Even though we didn't win the game, he had his minutes were some quality minutes there. And not to say that he didn't make any mistakes. He certainly did. We all do while we're in there. It's not a perfect game. And then, the other day, foul trouble, he was ready, right away. Toby gets tired. Firm has two. It's a luxury to have him there to be able to put him in to see what he can do. And I thought he did well.
If I could ask one question about Saturday. You two, you talk about teams that know each other. No real fundamental differences between the two of you, I don't think, since the first time you played. What's the key to coming into a second rivalry game like this when you got to go over there and you two are as tight and as good as you were the first time you played?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, our focus is with Rhode Island right now and a game, whatever's right in front of us. But, down the line, these games are coming fast and furious. And, Richmond's had a great season and is playing really well regardless of where they're playing, either at home or on the road. They're very balanced on defense and, really stingy on that side of the ball. And King's excellent. Quinn, is a force and a facilitator. And, when you play in these games, it's, again, like we talked about, prior to that, the last time that we played them, it's you can't make the game bigger than it is. It's you can't play differently because it's a big game. You've got to play your game and try to establish yourselves. And certainly it's going to be different. We're not going to have our fans necessarily right there on top of us, cheering us on. We'll have some, but when you're playing in a hostile environment, you've got to be poised and you've got to be ready to withstand any type of runs and momentum that happen in those types of games.
Coach Jeff Jones announced his retirement this weekend. Did you have any experience with him throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, he helped me get in the business, and so I've known him since I was a child, at UVA. I mean, I was probably 10, third grade to ninth grade, and during that time, so I was around him most days as a youngster. I would get on my bike after school and ride over to practice and, watch he and Dad and Coach Holland, coach the guys up, and I was fortunate enough to be around the team and all that, and so, learning a lot about the game at a really young age, and he was a big part of that. And then, to fast forward, to have the opportunity to work for, a guy like that that's meant so much to so many people and this game, in general, and it's more than just, wins and losses, and he's won a ton of games. He's impacted not only his players, but, the coaches that have worked for him, like myself. And then, folks that worked with him, in the departments, and fans. He's what's right about college basketball and mentoring young people. And, he's always there for them, as you can, it's easy to see because all of his former players have such a deep love for him and his family. And, I hate I wasn't able to go to the retirement presser because we had practice, but certainly would have been there if I didn't have that, and I was able to watch it. And he said a lot of great things. Just his gratitude for his time in the business, and I think the friendships forged over those years. It's hard. You get to the end like that, and it's it's time, and you still have some competitive juices, but you do know it's the right moment for him to pass it on to somebody else, but still hopefully staying involved, in mentoring and helping our game continue to grow and get better. And it's a key time. We don't need to lose folks like him in terms of their advice, expertise, whatever you want to call it, as it relates to what's next for college athletics, because he certainly has seen a lot of change over his time, in coaching.
Women have a huge game against Mason on Saturday. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about the relationship between the two programs and what you guys can do and have done to support them.
Yeah, we're so excited for them. The year that they're having is amazing, and Coach Obi is done. She's done a great job. Her and her staff and her players. We see one another every single day in the BDC, and we're cheering for one another each and every day. We text after wins and pick one another up after losses, which is cool. But this is a huge game, and so we need all Rams to come out and support. On the second, and we're trying to break a record, and really excited for them, and excited for a huge turnout, and most importantly, a big win. I know the race is tight, down the stretch, and kind of like it is on the men's side, and our team has done really well, and I know they're looking forward to a push, towards the conference tournament and then beyond.
Is it too early to talk about futures at all?
What do you mean?
Have you zeroed in on the off season and what the future holds for some of the guys from the
No, you're always thinking about it. You're locked in on what you're doing right at that time. With individuals, but and the team overall. But absolutely, you're making notes. We're having conversations. With the players, but also as a staff. In terms of what's next, for the guys in the natural progression. And certainly we've got some really good young players, that have a chance to grow and get into new roles, as we progress into next season. And so, it's certainly something that, while it's not the primary thing that we're focused on right this second, it certainly is something that we're documenting as we go. And in preparation for, once the season's over and we begin to enter that phase.